Shields up, Iron Breakers. Rurikhan here coming at you with another gameplay first impressions, and today we're going to be talking about Dragon Quest VIII for the 3DS. This title was sent to me by Nintendo so that I could give it a look and tell you guys my opinions on it. Now, before we get started, you guys can probably tell that this is quite a bit different from our usual audio quality. This is because I'm recording this video while I'm supposedly on vacation with my family. So my resources are quite limited, so just bear with me as we go through this, shall we? Anyway, so Dragon Quest VIII, as it should be no real news for anyone, is a re-release of a title, well, I guess you'd kind of call it a remaster, of a title that came out back in 2004. Now, obviously one of the things that I first noted as I started playing Dragon Quest VIII is that it feels a little bit dated, which is to be expected. I kind of feel that this is one of those games that is, it's got two objectives. One of the objectives is to capitalize on the nostalgia factor that a lot of people have for these older games, which in my opinion is a really good thing, because as you guys know, we did a video back on Dragon Quest VII as well. And I personally enjoyed it, even though we never even got to the point where we did combat. In that particular video, I have to tell you, the start of Dragon Quest VIII is far more player-friendly, so to speak. They just start you off, they put you on in some combat straight from the get-go so that you can kind of understand the game's systems and all that jazz. And to be honest, I enjoyed it quite a bit. The game is pretty fun. However, the fact that it is dated also means that it is a lot harder than a lot of the games that we are used to these days. Something that has happened to me quite often is one of my teammates dying. I mean, I'm about 3 hours in at this point, which is why this is strictly first impressions. But like, I think that my pal Yangus, I think it's Yangus, he's died quite often. And even recently, as I was trying to advance through the Tower of Alexandria, I kept running into encounters where it's just a two-man party is just very hard to deal with that kind of stuff. And one of the things that I've started noticing is that I think the game expects you to grind a little bit, get yourself some gold, get yourself some experience, upgrade your gear and all that. And I was just trying to kind of advance through it so that I could, you know, tell you guys my opinion on the game. I've only completed one dungeon so far, but it was thoroughly enjoyable. It was, again, one of those things where sometimes some of those encounters, because these encounters are random, some of them, except for, like, for instance, there's a couple of mobs that you'll find roaming the wasteland, and they have like a special mark on top of their head. Now, those will be mobs that are not random, and they will usually have a treasure chest. They're kind of like mini boss fights spread throughout the world. And those were a lot of fun, in my opinion. You know, trying to beat some of those bosses. I've actually gotten to one that I wasn't able to beat because he just kept cleaving my party really hard. Like I said, the game is challenging, and it does expect you to spend some time farming, getting yourself leveled up, getting yourself geared up. One of the things that I would have to criticize, though, is that as you level your characters up, you're able to put some skill points, right? And in your main character, for instance, you're going to have to pick between, okay, do you want to put skill points in swords, spears, boomerangs? I think he also has something called Courage, which is like support spells and stuff like that. And there's one more weapon that I'm currently forgetting. And then your other character, Yangus, he's got maces, axes, and a couple of more weapons. But basically the point is, so I was looking at the skills and all that stuff, and I was looking at my character, and I was thinking, you know, I don't want to do the sword thing. Everybody does the sword thing, right, in these games, so I want to do the spear thing. So I start putting points in the spears. And then something happened that I was fearing, which was I still haven't found a single spear in the game, and I haven't found a store that would sell a spear to me, which is one of those things that I'm just like, oh, come on, man, really? I guess they expect you to start either with swords or courage, so it's like, oh, if you're not starting with courage so that you can actually take advantage of some of these spells, you're going to have a hard time, because like I have 12 points invested into spears and I still don't have a spear. I just figured that, one town ahead I'll be able to buy a spear, but I guess that I was wrong. Same thing happened with the Yangus guy, because I was like, dude, I want to put him in Axis, because he's this burly looking dude. He's a little bit dwarvish features, so to speak, put him with an axe, like a dwarf. But no, couldn't do it, because I also couldn't find an axe. Actually, I think I found an axe at this point, but I didn't have enough money to buy it, because damn thing was expensive as hell. So yeah, the game does expect you to grind a little bit, but I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. It's just for someone like me who's trying to give you guys early first impressions, makes it a little bit more challenging than normal. Now, something that I thought was cool is as I got to finally experience the combat of Dragon Quest, because like I said, in Dragon Quest VII, I did that little video for you guys and I haven't touched it since. But as I got to experience the combat, it kind of gave me the motivation to go back and take another look at Dragon Quest VII. I started playing that, and I also wanted to take a look at the visuals on Dragon Quest VII so that I could compare those to the visuals of the remaster of Dragon Quest VIII. And ultimately, the conclusion that I got to is that, in my opinion, the remaster of Dragon Quest VII is a little bit better from a visual fidelity standpoint than the Dragon Quest VIII. Now, this doesn't mean that Dragon Quest VIII looks bad. It doesn't. It looks great. You guys are watching some footage right now, even though it's only 720p, which is way more than the 3DS outputs anyway, so I don't think it makes much of a difference. You guys can probably tell that the game looks pretty good visually. My frustrations are from the fact that I kind of feel that Dragon Quest VII has a better art style. It feels a little bit more unique with the little chibi characters and all that stuff. And it seems that the cell shading is done a little bit better. And on top of that, on Dragon Quest VII, you are able to turn the 3D effect on, which, as most of you guys know, I'm a big fan of the 3D effect. I like it. I like playing games on the 3DS in 3D. And I know that I'm in a minority there. I know that it's a minority thing, but I personally still enjoy it, and I would really like it if I could do that in Dragon Quest VIII, but you can't. 3D effect seems to be disabled. I'm not sure if they plan on adding in the patch afterwards, but I doubt it. So it looks like we're going to be playing with 3D off, which, again, not a bad thing. Visuals still look fine. Animations look great. Something very important to me that you guys know is when we are doing combat in a video game, I like seeing animations, even if it's turn-based. I like seeing animations of my characters actually moving in and hitting the targets, and you definitely have that in Dragon Quest VIII, so I'm happy when it comes to that portion of it. Another cool thing that I like more in Dragon Quest VIII than Dragon Quest VII is the fact that the game opens up a lot earlier and lets you free roam through the world and tackle monsters as you see fit, whereas Dragon 7 has a more, how should I put it, it's a bit more of a longer introduction, trying to tell you guys about the story, which, again, not necessarily a bad thing. It's just I'm the kind of guy that likes to get his hands in the action as fast as possible. And Dragon Quest VII kind of holds you back a little bit. It's like really exposing the story to you about how Prince Kiefer is trying to understand what's going on in the island, whereas Dragon Quest VIII instantly starts like, hey, we've been attacked by slimes. Let's kill these slimes. And it's like, hey, here's the basic story beat. There's this king that's cursed. He's going to look like a frog monster thing for the rest of his life unless we find the mage who has cursed him. Also, his daughter, the princess, is cursed to look like a horse. So, for some strange reason, her father makes her pull a wagon because she's the only horse we have. But yeah, that's why it's the journey of the Cursed King. The Cursed King who is trying to find this mage that cursed him, and consequently, I think there were a bunch of mercenaries that were hired. Again, not all of the story is told in the first 3 hours, so I can't give you all the details. And again, also, I don't want to go into spoiler territory, because there's more to your character than meets the eyes. The story is not just the mercenary, but that's the kind of story that they go with. And it's just cool when people start a game and they, these Japanese games, they tend to sometimes over-introduce stuff to you. Dragon Quest VIII doesn't do that. It's just like, get right into the action. Here's what's happening. Here's what you need to do. And then as you start traveling the world, you're going to notice that this main antagonist guy, the mage who cursed the king, is also doing all kinds of other bad stuff on the surrounding villages, so you obviously get yourself immersed in that kind of story where you're trying to help everybody out, everybody's got problems and stuff like that. And it is cool, but another knock that I have to give it is the UI. Like, when I'm talking about when a game feels dated, I think one of the things that feels the most dated when it comes to Dragon Quest VIII is that UI. Like, you guys will know, you guys are probably watching some gameplay right now, and you guys can tell that UI is like, ugh. I wish they would have remastered that. You know, remaster that UI, make it look a little bit more modern, give it a couple of touch-ups, you know? But then again, maybe the nostalgia factor, some people actually prefer it that way. I don't know. I never played the originals, but I am damn happy that they're coming back on the 3DS, because at least it gives me an opportunity to experience them, which is, again, games that I haven't really played, because at the time these games came out, I was addicted to World of Warcraft, and I know that this is a problem, but hey, in my opinion, this is a solid title, and it kind of made me also go back to Dragon Quest VII and have some fun there, which I managed to progress the story a little bit further in there as well, and it was pretty cool. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Those are my first impressions. It's like, if you guys enjoy the gameplay that you're watching, I would highly recommend it, because the game is pretty fun. If you guys are not enjoying this kind of gameplay, then you probably don't enjoy our JRPGs that much, because this is a JRPG through and through. It plays great. Like I said, a couple of knocks there because UI feels a little bit dated, and I wish they would have turned on the 3D for it, because I like playing games in 3D, but then again, I'm in the minority there, so we already explained that. But overall, pretty solid title, in my personal opinion. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to hit that like button. If you're new, make sure to subscribe. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.